Chosen one. Right now, at this exact moment, there is something moving through your spirit that most people around you will never experience. You know something is there, but you haven't been able to put your finger on it. It's like a signal that goes beyond thought or reason. You didn't just happen to be here. What I'm about to show you is something God has been waiting for you to see. The events that led you to this point were not random. Not because today you deserve it, but because the time has come and the wait has already cost you too much. Some people will hear this message and feel a little grateful afterward. Some people must hear this message. It is not only spiritually urgent. It is also literally urgent. People who really need help don't always look like they do. They appear calm. From the outside, it looks like they're handling things, but deep down they're carrying something that was never meant to be held for this long. And they know that something has to change. If that's you, each word that comes next was written just for you. Today, God is not being gentle because there is not enough time for a gentle approach. Before this message ends, God will confirm something through your body through something you've had your whole life, but may not have known what it meant. A sign or mark carved into the middle of your palm. Take a look at the hand you write with most often. Check out the three main lines that cross the middle. The life line, the heart line, and the head line. In some hands, those three lines make the shape of the letter M. It's not perfectly drawn, but it's clear when you look with purpose. If you see that shape, every word that comes after it is meant just for you. That M has been trying to tell you something about why you are here and how the fullness you were made for has been just out of reach. Most of the time, the people who feel this calling the most strongly are the ones who have been unaware of it the longest. They were not ignorant, but they were not aware because no one ever gave them the whole picture. No one ever explained how it worked. So they've been living at a small part of what they were meant to. It wasn't because they didn't have faith or discipline. It was because they never had a certain kind of awareness. It's been a good year for prayers. There has been a real desire. But there is a door that has been opened and no one told you about it. This message points in that direction. 5 signs are used by God to find the people whose calling is the most important right now. When you see these 5 signs in yourself, they will change how you think about everything you've been through and everything that's to come. I am going to give each one a name. Do not only pay attention to whether they fit you, but also to what your body does when they do. You'll feel something in your body before your mind lets it. That answer should tell you the truth. Right now, type 777 in the comments if you think this message was put there on purpose. That should be the first thing you do with the awareness you came here to find. The first sign, for most of your life, you felt a pull that you could name. Not at something that can be seen. Not toward a job that someone else gave you or an idea of success that someone else made up. A pull toward what's real. Toward a life that was just outside the edge of what you could see. You felt it in rooms that should have been full. You felt it in the mornings that were normal and should have been calm. There was a hum though just below the silence, a low constant sense that you were supposed to be working at a different height. You did what you were supposed to do with this feeling. You put it away. You were thankful for what was around you. You told yourself it wasn't possible. You tried to be someone who was grateful for everyday things. The pull did not end though because being thankful and being content are not the same thing. God never told you to be thankful for a life that isn't exactly how He planned it to be. He told you to be thankful as you move toward it. The pull you've always felt isn't a dream, It is to navigate. The second sign, you've always known deep down that you were meant for more than what you had in front of you. Not more of a show of vanity or ambition that wants praise. More in the sense of being able to. You have a depth that the places you've been living weren't made to hold. You did what was in front of you, then looked around to see if that was really all there was. You've tried to fit in. You've been telling yourself for years that fitting in was a sign of a humble and loyal person. Being humble, on the other hand, has never meant hiding your true self. Because you are humble, you haven't hidden your greatness. The switch that turns it on was never turned on, so it has been turned off. Nothing else is about to change except the difference between what you think you are and what you can see. You feel heavy, but the people around you don't seem to feel the same way. This is the third sign. It's not the weight of depression, though it can feel like that sometimes. It's a weight of perception. Things happen in rooms before anyone speaks. When you love someone, you can feel their pain, even when they don't say it in a way that makes you feel more tired than the situation calls. 4. You take in the atmosphere of the places you visit. For years now, you've been wondering why you can't just dim the lights. You're not broken, that's not the answer. You were made to carry signals that need an instrument that is very precisely tuned. It's not broken that you feel weight. Having a level of spiritual awareness that the people around you were not meant to carry costs a lot, because no one taught you how to hold it right. It has felt like a burden instead of a gift. When something this sensitive has been working, without the right help, the gift starts to feel like punishment. What you don't need is less care. You need the right framework to make it work well instead of being hard. The fourth sign says that you have lived through things that should have broken you, not lived through something that changed you. You were changed in ways that no one else could see when you survived. There were times when I felt like I had lost everything. Moments when people who were supposed to keep you safe let you down. There were times when the path gave way and there was nothing to step on. And yet here you are holding things together. Not with perfect pieces, but with the kind of grip you can only get from holding on while it was dark. You are tough in a way that can't be taught. It needs to be fate. In God's hands, the times that felt most like destruction were the times when you grew the most. There is something built into who you are from. Every time you came through when the odds said you wouldn't. You didn't just happen to be alive. You made it through because that's what God made you to do. The fifth sign. This is the person God wanted to name. Take another look at your hand. Take a look at those 3 lines. They make the letter M when held in certain ways throughout thousands of years of spiritual history. This shape has been seen as a sign of people with strong intuition, deep spirituality, and a calling that goes beyond the normal. There are teachers, healers, leaders, and visionaries among us. We were put here not to follow a path, but to make one. God isn't bringing this to your attention now to make you feel special. This is because you've had the M on your hand your whole life and have no idea what it means before. You didn't know what you were carrying. God says that this is the end of the time for being unaware. Being aware has been blocked for a reason, not stopped by the fact that you failed or had no faith. Being stopped by something working below your conscious choices at a level that your prayers and discipline were not meant to reach on their own. God built you with a biological and spiritual system that is meant to keep you in touch with everything He made you. People's adult lives press on what was alive and open in childhood, making that mechanism go to sleep. When this happens, the gap between what you think you are and what you are actually living shrinks from a door to a crack. I'll show you what that mechanism is and why God is giving it a name right now in a moment. Everything that seemed like an unanswered prayer, an unexplained delay or potential that wouldn't come to life starts to make more sense when you see it. Follow me. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. Faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. Science, not religion, was the subject of a study that won the Nobel Prize in the 1960s. The neuroscientist Dr. Roger Sperry spent years studying the left and right sides of the brain, which is something most people have never thought about. And what he found forever changed how scientists thought about what people could do. Something happens in the brain when both hemispheres are connected and working together that neither hemisphere can do on its own. This is a state of whole activation, which is what kids naturally experience before they learn otherwise. It's this state that gives geniuses the clarity, insight, and creative power that everyone else didn't have. The brain bridge that Dr. Sperry talked about was called the genius switch. He found that this switch was off in most adults. It didn't go dark because something went wrong: pressure, the weight of performance, and a world that rewards people who are analytical, logical, and defensive with left brain rewards made it dark. The right brain is slowly trained to be quiet. The world that used to be amazed by how creatively a child solved problems now sees an adult having trouble remembering a name they knew yesterday. What used to be a brain that could make wonders happen at any time is now running at a fraction of its full potential. This is the most painful part. The person who is in that state of diminished functioning often feels the gap. They feel like they've lost something. The M is on their palm. They know there's more out there for them, but no one ever told them what it was. They were never told it could be turned around. I want you to see something in Joseph's story. It's not the version that is boiled down for a Sunday school lesson. The real details of Joseph's life. He was 17 years old, and his dreams showed him a future that his brothers couldn't picture. He didn't do it because he was proud. He could see his ability to see things differently set him apart. And the people who were closest to him couldn't stand it. He was thrown into a pit and then sold. Then he was put in jail in Egypt for something he didn't do. There must have been a thought that said, I have the gift. At every step of that descent, I have the calling, but I'm at the bottom. God was setting up every step of that journey, gave Joseph the wisdom that throne needed because Egypt couldn't make the kind of kneader it needed while he was in the pit. Joseph didn't know that God wasn't there. Comfortable. He had to be shaped by the pit. The more he knew about being forgotten, the better he would be able to handle the time when he did remember. No one else could explain the dream. So when Pharaoh called for him, Joseph walked into the room with everything the pit had built. He then left the throne with everything it had to offer. Things were always becoming clear, the time was always capped. What changed was when God finally told them, "Now is the time to see clearly. You have something on you that Joseph had of you that some people haven't been able to understand." At times your calling has felt like the thing that made you unique was also the thing that made your life harder. You too have been in the pit like Joseph with the gift, but not knowing how to use it, or the calling, but not being sure how to fully step into it. Tomorrow, God won't answer the question of whether the calling is real. He is answering the question of why the activation was put off. The answer is still the same. Sperry worked his whole life to find the genius switch, which is the link between how you think about yourself and how you can actually become. I want to name the identity that God has been building in you through this whole thing. This is not a label. It's a recognition, because it's easier to see the way forward when you have a good picture of who you are. The first person is the seer. You can see things that aren't there yet. When you walk into a room, you can always tell what's really going on before anyone speaks. You can read people so well that it scares you sometimes. You can feel changes in the air before anyone else does. This isn't stress. At its best, this is perception at its best. If a seer doesn't understand the gift, they either push it down or become consumed by it. And what you need is the activation that makes the perception clear. The second identity is the one that breaks the cycle. Your family, your history, and the people who raised you all have habits that were never meant to be passed on. Somewhere inside you, before you knew how to say it, you agreed that you would be the end of the chain. That the things that were passed down would not be passed down again. The person who breaks the cycle carries a heavy load because no one else can see them work. No one can see that people are getting better. They only see the person who seems different, who fights back and who won't take what is given to them. That is not a flaw, that difference. I have to do this. The third identity is the one who heals the hurt. What you've been through wasn't for nothing. Every wound you chose not to let define you. Every loss you turned into wisdom. And every dark season you lived through without becoming it has been building a storehouse of knowledge that can't be made in a classroom or a seminar. The wounded healer doesn't help others from a place of having already been through pain. They can help because they've been through it through themselves and have something to offer that only suffering can give. And God has been waiting for this moment so that you can fully heal. Now that the tool is ready, the healing can happen. If you see yourself in any of these identities, type "I see it" in the comments. This isn't just a ritual. It's because naming what is true about yourself is a way for awareness to start to land in the body as well as the mind. Here is where the link between the spiritual and the biological becomes clear. Let me show you what happens in the 3 areas of your life when the genius switch is off. When it comes to your relationships, dormancy creates distance. The space you feel when you can't be yourself fully when you're with someone else, when activation of the whole brain. is stopped the ability for real emotional. This is not intentional distance or the distance that comes from not caring. Resonance goes down. There are times when you're in the room, but not really there. The people who love you can tell just by being around you. Your partner moves in with you. You have to make plans for your kids. Your friends stop being anchors and more like duties. And you know that deep down you were made for more depth than what you have now. In your energy, Dorsey makes you feel tired all the time. And no amount of sleep can fully fix it. The system doesn't work well when the two halves of the brain can't talk to each other. It takes more power to do the same amount of work. Your brain has been foggy. You can't find the word you're looking for sometimes, and you feel like you have to work hard when you used to be able to just flow. These are not signs of getting older. They show that a switch needs to be turned back on. And in your purpose, the gap you felt your whole life is caused by Dorsey. The space between the pole and the real world, between the M on your palm and the people and things around you. In between the calling you feel in your deepest moments and the normal flow of the days, there is a discovery that bridges the gap. And God set this up so that you would hear about it now. A group of neuroscientists have been working on this in secret for years. They used Dr. Roger Sperry's Nobel Prize research and asked for years if there is a genius switch and most adults have lost their ability to use it. They are led by a neurologist in New York City who has spent 20 years studying what happens in the brain when it is fully activated. There a way to turn it back on? There is a lot more that I will say about what they found after this, but I just wanted you to know that it exists and that the discovery was made just for people like you who carry the M and feel the early results from that study can be found in the comment that is pinned and in the description below this message. Pull. People who have been waiting for this without knowing what they were waiting for. Before we go any further, I want to give you a moment to breathe. It's not because what's coming up is hard, but because what has already been said needs a place to land. Today you were given a name, the signs have been heard, the people have been seen. And for someone who has spent most of their life carrying a depth that no one fully acknowledged, being seen clearly can make them feel ways they haven't felt before. Something between being sad and being happy. Something between the pain of finally getting it and the peace of knowing it took so long. Allow yourself to feel that way. Do not rush. God is not in a hurry. For years, He has put up with you. He has the luxury of waiting one more breath before we go on. I'm going to give you 3 practices right now. These are not theories or frameworks that need a perfect morning, a set time, or a version of you that already knows everything. There are 3 specific things you can do right now that will work with what God made you and how science has proven it works. And I need to make something clear before I name them. Even though some of them will make you feel good right now, these don't work because they do. These things work because they are in line with how your mind and spirit were meant to work at their best. After that comes the feeling of being in sync. Getting better comes first. M activation is what I call the first task. There are 4 steps to this. And I'm giving you it in 4 steps, instead of one long instruction because each step does something different and losing the power of them all together makes the whole thing doesn't take more than 2 minutes. The instruction less useful. This is the order. First step, place your strong hand in front of you so that it is level with your eyes. Take a look at the three main lines. Pay attention to them for 30 seconds straight. Not even a look. Being there. Taking a focused look at something that your body has been carrying for a long time, and that no one ever told you was important is a way to wake up. That part of your brain that has been waiting for you to notice something is now getting a message. Second step, say 3 sentences out loud, not in your head. Saying them out loud activates auditory processing in a way that thinking does not. And the effect of speaking and hearing your own statement at the same time sets off a pattern in both hemispheres at the same time. This is what the sentences say. Say, I carry what God put in me. Then say, I know what I am. Next, say the mechanism that was dormant is activating now. Don't rush through them. Let one sentence end before moving on to the next. Third step. There was no sound for 60 seconds. Most people want to skip this step, but it's the one that makes the difference between a morning routine and a real reset. The silence is the window for receiving the words. You just need to be left alone so they can sink in. Not lost in the noise of the next task. Half an hour with your eyes closed and both feet on the ground. Let the first thought that comes to your mind in those 60 seconds go by without pursuing it. The usual way of meditating is not being done here. This is just making the channel clear. Step 4. What is one specific thing that you, the one who sees, breaks cycles, heals wounds, and carries the will do today that you wouldn't do if you were shaped by fear? One thing, not a list. It could be a conversation you've been putting off, a boundary you haven't set, or a direction you've been feeling but not trusting. Give it a name and say it out loud. Let it be your center for the next few hours. The second practice is a discernment. Filter because making decisions becomes hard when the genius switch is turned off, which is one of the worst things that can. Before you decide what it does, give the activation 7 mornings in a row. Happen. Not because you're not smart, but because the signal between your deep knowing and your conscious choice gets messed up when the two halves of your brain aren't talking to each other properly. You have to feel the truth before you can get to it. You have to feel the answer to be right before you can trust it. So you guess and put things off. The part of your brain that handles fear, not the part that handles vision, tells you what to do. There are 3 questions in the filter. Before you answer anyone, think about these 3 questions in order when you need to make a big choice. First, does this move me closer or farther from the life I think I was meant to live? The easy life is not the life. The life that has always felt like a pull in your chest. Second, is this a door that's coming open or is fear holding it open for me? Because fear makes people act quickly on the wrong choices and slowly on the right ones. Third, without any doubt, what would I choose if I could talk to the 7-year-old version of myself? Before the world taught me to shrink, you still have that blank, clear mind. It can get to the present moment through the filter. What I call the 3-breath reset is the third move. Here's something to read when your sensitivity starts to hurt you. When the weight of perception stops being clear and starts to consume, put down what you're doing. Lay your feet flat on the ground. Put one hand on your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. Add the word receive to the first one. Add the word release to the second. Add the word return to the third line without the stress of the day's events. Get back to who you are. These 3 breaths do more than just calm you down to a nervous system that is already overloaded. They send a message that the threat is over and the real work can begin. Before you have a conversation that needs all of you at a time when the world is pushing you hard and you need to get back under it, I need to talk to you about. You can do them anywhere. Someone. This is the story of the chosen one who carries the M, but doesn't know what it means yet. I'm not going to use her name, but I want you to hear it. She was 43 years old. People had called her in times of trouble for 20 years. The person whose presence changed how her room was set up. The one whose perception was so accurate it occasionally frightened her. She was extraordinary when it was needed, and she was so tired she couldn't even describe it during the times when nothing was going on. She also didn't know how to get to herself on her own terms. One afternoon, she read a lesson about the M formation. She sat still for a long time and looked at her hand. Afterward, she said it was the first time in 43 years that she had a word for how she was wired. The word changed everything that came after it. She stopped making the sensitivity a burden on her. She started to use the M activation every morning. She said that the gap had shrunk in 60 days, not because her life had changed drastically, but because she was more aware, and she learned that awareness was the discernment filter whenever she had to make a tough choice, and the 3-breath reset whenever the stress got too much. The mechanism. There was a clear M for her, and she stopped waiting for someone or something else to change things. Type I get in the comments right now. If this story turned out to be true, that should be the moment when you become aware of the choices you are about to make. If this message got to where you wanted it to go, please gently press the like button on it. Not for a count, but for the person in your life who carries this weight but hasn't named it yet. Because of what you did, they will come here when the time is right. These 3 habits don't work on their own. They work together as a system. At the start of the day, the M activation sets the tone and gets both hemispheres ready to connect. With every choice that day brings, the discernment filter keeps that frame safe. If the frame gets out of alignment because of the weight of the world, the 3-breath reset will fix it. This is a cycle in which the brain keeps going back to a state of full connection, instead of naturally drifting toward half capacity, which is what happens when the together they make what the researchers call a coherence loop. Mind is under a lot of stress. The person who does all 3 of these things regularly is not just doing 3 things. They are setting a new default. And if you keep it for a while, it becomes a new baseline. And for someone with the M, a new baseline means things that someone who lived in the gap for years doesn't have a point of reference for yet. This point of reference is on its way. What you thought you knew about why the genius switch went off was wrong, because I haven't told you that part of the mechanism yet. Plus, a group of neuroscientists made a discovery that makes everything we've talked about useful in a way that none of the other ideas can do on their own. Because the practices change the way the frame is wired, but the discovery fixes the mechanism where it broke in the first place. You will never tell the story of everything you've been through the same way again after hearing what I'm about to show you. Stay close. Let me take a step back and say it straight out. There are no metaphors or images in this message. It is just the clearest version of what we have been talking about. You deserve to hear it once in plain English before we move on to what's at the end of the message. This is what has been going on. You were born with a brain that can do amazing things. When you were a child, both sides of your brain were talking to each other freely. That's why learning was easy. Over time, the pressure to perform, be practical, and deal with the many small things that happen when someone doesn't move at the world's pace started to favor. Being creative was natural, and the world seemed huge and full of possibilities. One side of the brain over the other. The left hemisphere, which is analytical, defensive, and likes to get through the day mode, took over. Not forever or forever and a day, but long enough that the difference between how you see yourself and how you can live each day became the most important thing in your. The right hemisphere, which is intuitive, creative, and sees the bigger picture, went quiet. Adult life. This is what you are. You are not someone who hasn't lived up to their full potential. You are someone whose potential was slowly taken away by a process that no one explained to you and no one ever showed you how to fix. Snorts every mark you have, like the M on your palm, the pull, the sensitivity, and the resilience is proof that the design is still there. It was always possible to use it. There was a link. This is for the following people. When they read this message, this person saw the signs not as a list of nice things about themselves, but as an honest reflection of a life they have been living. This is for the person who knew something was about to change. For a long time, this person felt something they hadn't felt in a while. When they looked at the M on their hand, who they really are, take a deep breath. You've now given the whole picture. The next part tells you what to do with it. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pin comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of. It is a sign from God, our Koi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Every person God chose for a unique purpose goes through a time when they are no longer being prepared and are instead being activated. Moment when the voice told Moses, "Take off your shoes because the ground you are standing on is holy." This woman at that well dropped the water jar and ran when a stranger spoke to her about everything she. When Pharaoh called Joseph's name, he was in jail. Had ever done. She knew that what she had been thirsting for had finally come. Every time it goes to someone, that moment is the same. There is a before and an after. And there is always a time when the person thought they were waiting for nothing. You're at a before and after. I want you to hear about a woman. Lisa is her name. In San Diego, she worked as a nurse. For 18 years, she had given everyone everything she had. First, it was her patients, then her kids, and finally anyone else who needed her. But around the 14th year, she noticed that the clarity she used to have, the speed with which she could think, and the ability to stay calm while seeing the big picture were all taking more work than it was easy for her. It was meant for her. They used to. It was because of her age, stress, and how fast she had to work. Then she read the work of Dr. Daniel Barron, a neurosurgeon in New York, who had been studying a certain topic for 20 years. It's not why some people are gifted from birth, but why most gifted people lose their gifts between the ages of 10 and 20. What he found is directly linked to everything you've heard today. In 1981, Dr. Roger Sperry won the Nobel Prize for his work on the brain. Through experiments, he showed that when the left and right sides of the brain work together fully, they create a state that neither side can create on its own, and what he proved changed how scientists thought about the highest level of human potential. Active state for the whole body. This is the natural state of every child, which is why 98% of kids who take standardized tests score the creative genius level, and less than 1% of adults still have that level of access. It's that the genius switch which Sperry and his colleagues named the switch that keeps both hemispheres talking to each other turns off as a child grows up in a world that always rewards half a brain. It's not that adults are less smart over a whole one. Early in his career, Dr. Daniel Barron heard about this research for the next 20 years. He asked Sperry the one question he hadn't answered. If there is a genius switch and most adults don't use it anymore, is there a way to reconnect? The people working with him in the lab tried one method after another until they came up with something simple. It was a specific 8-minute sound sequence meant to activate both hemispheres at the same time through carefully structured sound. It wasn't a brainwave, a binaural beat, or a meditation app. A specific set of steps based on the same ideas that Sperry found designed to create the right conditions for the genius switch to return to working order. The smart switch is what they call it. Lisa didn't think it would be very exciting when she tried it. They were on. She closed her eyes and she listened for 8 minutes. A lightning bolt did not hit her. She didn't hear a voice. Over the next 2 weeks, she noticed things that were first subtle and then clear. The fog went away. The quick thought came back. It started to feel easy again to be able to clearly hold several things in her mind at once, which had been hard for years. Then she saw something she didn't expect. She felt like she was being present in body, but not fully herself in her personal life. But that gap started to close. She told Dr. Barron that it felt like someone turned on the lights again in a room she had almost forgotten was dark. But first, I want to address the objection that some of you have right now. I'm about to say something important about fakes. The one that states, if something like this existed and actually worked, I would have heard about it by now. The same things keep you from hearing about it. Schools don't teach a lot about Sperry because people who make money when you're only working half as hard don't want to tell you that the other half is available. Distribution is meant to be quiet, and most of the time the people who find it were already awake enough to be looking. You can get the genius switch right now for $39, not the $500 value that Dr. Barron's coworkers gave it. Not the $49 price it was when it first came out, which was already more than 40% off $439 with an extra ponton off for anyone who made it this far. Along with it, Dr. The list includes a guided visualization from one of the best creators on a popular meditation platform, a grocery guide that tells you how to avoid the 10 foods that cause brain fog in the American diet, and 5 shortcuts that save most families. Barron and his team added 4 bonuses that you will understand as soon as you see them. More than $100 a month. And a book from 100 years ago that is worth a 20 on its own and is the basis of most of what is taught today on the subject. There is also a printed infographic with the 5 habits that research shows make the difference between a life of potential and a life of activation. There is a 100% money-back guarantee on everything. You can play it 80 times for 8 minutes each time. You don't have to pay anything if the lights don't come back on. One last thing I want to say is that if you look for the Genius Switch on other free audio sites, you will find things that are labeled with those words. This is because Dr. Barron and his team have studied them. The results were all the same. Most of them didn't have any neural sync technology at all. They were labeled to get people to look at them. Dr. Barron and his team are the only ones who can give you the audio sequence that actually works the mechanism. He picked that path for a reason. It's written out in great detail on the page. Both the comment below and the comment that was pinned have a link to that page. There isn't any fancy gear, pills, or a special room needed. 8 minutes with headphones on and eyes closed. Type "I release" in the comments right now. Not as a ritual, but as the moment you let go of the idea that the gap will always be there. I promised you something near the start of this message. Before this was over, I promised that I would say something directly about your life. It's not a general word of encouragement or a motivational ending. It's a specific statement that God has been holding until the teaching was done and the ground was ready to receive it. It was planned before the message even started. That's where we are now. And you need to be fully present for what I'm about to say. Not just as a listener, but as someone who came here to be changed, is being changed, and will leave with something different than what they came with. Just before the speech, please do something nice for me. Place your body so that your spine is as straight as it can be where you are sitting. Now lay your feet flat on the ground. Place your hands on your thighs so that they are open and facing up. Should you have room, close your eyes for a few moments while you listen. In places where you need to keep your eyes open, relax your gaze. Let what's coming in come in. Think about what I want you to picture. Imagine the version of yourself that woke up this morning and before the first alert, before the first check of everything that the day required of them, held out their dominant hand, looked at the am, and said out loud, I carry what? Not just think about something in a general way. Think about this with me. God put in me. I know what I'm doing. The mechanism that was dormant is now coming to life. As you say those words, picture what that version of you looks like. There's something clear about the eyes and the way they're standing, not arrogance or performance. Being clear means that someone has finally given up arguing with the truth about who they are. That person is not a you to be in the future that you need to earn. That is the most true representation of you that has ever existed. What you've been calling an aspiration, God has been calling an honor. God has been calling. Now, what you have been calling ready. Put the hand that you use most over your heart. Just say 3 words out loud or in your head. I am awake. Feel the weight and warmth of it. Now I want to talk to you directly about everything you've been carrying. And I want to do that by letting go. This is because the chosen one's weight is often not the weight of the present moment. It's the weight of all the times they told themselves that the present was all there was. They always said not yet. At every turn they backed down, said sorry, put things off, or agreed. The weight has to go somewhere and it's leaving right now. Let go of the idea that the difference between how you see yourself and how you live your life is permanent. It's not going to last. It's the space between a mechanism that isn't working and one that is. And that space is getting smaller. Let go of the idea that you're too late and that the time for the life you were meant to have is over. The window has never been shut. Window work is not where God works. This very moment is one of those times when He works. Let go of the part of you that learned to say sorry for what you carry. The sensitivity, the perception, and the desire for more. It was never wrong in any way. It was always planned. And the apology came from people who couldn't see what was really going on. Let go of the times you waited for permission to become who you already are. No one else was ever allowed to give the permission. It has always been yours. Free yourself from the agreements you made with limitations that were never yours to make. Let go of the ideas you have about what is possible for someone with your background. And at this point in your life, those beliefs came from their parents. They're not rules, they are opinions that have been living in your home for free. Now they are being kicked out. Let go of the years that felt like they went by too slowly, but were actually years of formation. Let go of every season you still don't understand. Allow go of the smaller story that told you that you tried but failed, that you felt called but were turned down, and that you had a gift but were never an A. Allow yourself to move on without having to figure it all out first. Position to use it. That story about you is not true. It was never there. It was what the mechanism did when it was trying to protect you with the tools it had at the time. Now take in what is true. I am the one who was born with a calling that goes beyond the ordinary. I am the seer whose sight is not a wound, but a way to find my way that can't be bought. I break cycles, and it's my job to write the story, so that everyone who comes after me will be born into it instead of having to fight for it. I am the wounded healer whose depth wasn't built in a classroom, but in the times that I should have been broken, but wasn't. I'm someone who had genius as a child before anyone knew what to do with it. And now I'm taking it back. The genius switch in my head is on right now. Not someday. The healing has begun and nothing on earth or in heaven can stop it. This moment was important to me. I didn't know I was coming here, and I know I'm leaving. I'm ready. Some things I could not see before are now very clear to me. Feeling things deeply doesn't make me weak. It's exactly what God needs to do the most precise work through me. I bless everyone who comes after me by becoming the whole person God made me to be before them. That's how it is. Before we go any further, I want you to see something. I'm interested in what took place in this message, not what was said. Even though what was said was true, why was there a space between the words and you? You brought with you the weight of a gap you've been living with for years. The space between what you see and what you feel about life. And what happened here wasn't a reason, it turned something on. It wasn't information that the 5 signs were known. Yes, it was okay. Okay, to stop fighting with the truth of who you are. And when someone with this much depth stops arguing with the truth, something happens in their spirit that can't be caused by positive thinking or hard work. There was something put there. There was a seal in recognizing that is important. It's clear to God. You can feel it. That's enough. Take a deep breath. Give what happened some time to sink in. The promise you made to yourself, the freedom you granted, and the picture you held of the person who woke up and looked at their hand without saying sorry or not. You were just written something, not in a figurative way. Just words. People pay attention to these things. When you focus on something in the body of person with this level of sensitivity, it starts to change shape to follow the direction. It won't hit you all at once. Things will be different in the days that follow, though. That way you decide what to do. That way you know what's right and don't wait to second-guess yourself. That way the gap starts in ways you won't always be able to fully explain to close it. Press the like button on this message slowly. You may have come here wanting something to change and felt it change. This is not a sign to me, but to the person who was right where you were when this started. Who has the M but doesn't know what it means yet? Who feels the pull but doesn't know what to call it? And who hasn't known about it until now? Your action brings them here. And what you were given today will be ready for them when they get there. This very moment, there is one person in your life, not a group of people. Just close your eyes and picture their face for a second. Someone who has been talking about feeling stuck and like they are just one conversation away from living the life they should be living, but can't find the door. Someone with a gift that others can feel but not name. Someone who has been through things that should have broken them and come out the other side calmer, deeper, and still waiting. Someone who would be very still if they saw the letter M on their palm today and knew what it meant. Just like the 43-year-old woman did when she finally heard the word that would change her life. Remember that person. Send them this message right now. Not as an idea, but as a mission. Because the picture you just saw is only one message away from the before and after you are in now. Plus, the gift they carry was never meant to be hidden. Why do you know this? Because you carried yours without knowing for longer than you needed to. Don't let them carry theirs for one more day than they have to. If you want to get more messages like this one, join the group of chosen people who are here. You are not signing up for a channel to receive this. Being with people who are aware of who they are, who push each other toward the life they were meant to live and who don't accept ordinary as the norm is a choice. You belong with them. One more thing before this message ends. You can reach Dr. Baron and his team through the link in the description and the pinned comment. 8 minutes a day with headphones on and eyes closed. The exercises you'll learn today will help you become more aware. The discovery fits with the way it works. There is no need to pick between the spiritual and the scientific in this case. Both were made by God, and they are ready to help you fulfill the purpose that has been calling you since before you were born. You didn't know you were here, chosen one. You are aware of leaving. What you do with that awareness in the hours and days that follow is the start of the life that the M on your palm has been pointing to since the day you were born. You were seen by God. This person has always seen you. And every time they did, they had a plan. Now that your eyes are open, your body is working again. And all the things you were made to do are coming back to you one morning at a time. Move forward. You carry it. You've always had. Use it now. Feel free to write. I am ready below. Let those 3 words be the seal on what started today. And let the person who reads them know that someone else woke up. Someone who didn't know what they were doing came here and left with something that can't be taken back. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says give and heaven will open over you on this platform. Every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment to place, where divine abundance is not just a hope. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step.